Hey, seventh graders, welcome to your first lesson. This is going to be parts of a plant review. It's going to kind of quickly go over what you learned last year in seventh grade in regards to the parts of the plant and what they function and what they do for the plant. Before we get started with that, you should have your virtual notebook open, and I'm going to show you how to set this up so that it's easy for you to watch the video lesson and take the notes at the same time. So what you want to do is you want to go into your Google Drive, which you can access through your waffle right here. And then it should be in your recents if you've recently been in it. If not, you are gonna go to the classroom folder. And then in that, you're gonna find my Google Classroom and then double click on that and it should be in there. If it's not, just let me know and we'll figure it out. Once you have the notebook open, it's gonna be open in this tabs. And you see I have all these tabs open, so I don't wanna keep having to go back and forth. So if you take this tab and you hold it down and you drag it over to the side of the screen until it gives you that phantom screen, you are going to release, and then it'll automatically resize everything to half of the screen. Then you're going to go back and you're going to open up the tab that has the video lesson in it. And then you're going to take that and you're going to drag it to the other side. So until you get that phantom page, then you're going to release, and again, it'll automatically resize, and then we'll downsize that. So now you have these open side by side. And you can see that you can clearly see that you could still read the words, the questions that it's asking you. So this is perfect. Okay, now all these tabs again work. So the first section we're going to do is plant review. So you can click on that and it'll take you straight to that lesson. It's going to take you to the table of contents so that when you're taking the quiz, you can easily access any question quickly by clicking on this, and then it'll jump to that question. All right, or you can just click on the slide on the side and then go from there. All right, so remember, you can't mess any of these questions up because you can't even click on them. I only give you text boxes where you can type. And if it asks you to add an image, that is part of the lesson, so you need to add an image. You can either do that by clicking on insert image. You can upload it from your computer if you save the image, or you can just search the web. Okay, it's going to open up a tab, and then you can type in whatever you want, okay, and then hit enter, and then whatever pops up, whatever you want to take, you're just going to drag it in there, resize it, and then voila, you have your picture. Okay, it's not hard. So what I'm going to do now is I am going to get into the lesson, and within the lesson, I tell you what question number you are answering. Okay, so if you have any questions on how to do this, just let me know and I will help you. So in sixth grade, you learned a lot about the different parts of the plant, two different types of plants found on the planet. You learned about the two types of those plants. And then we went into learning how the roots, stems, and leaves all function and work together to keep the plant alive. So we're going to do a quick review of that, especially for the new students who have not had this class before, because you kind of need to know that background in order to move forward to the parts that we are going to start talking about. So the first thing is the plant family tree. We talked about this in the sixth grade a lot. So at the top of your family tree is generally the people who started your family, how far back you can trace them. Well, we do the same thing with the plant family tree. And if you notice on your notebook, you have the plant family tree. And at the top of that, it says the two types of plants found on the planet. Those two are vascular plants and non-vascular plants. It is very important that you put them in that order because, as you see, when we go down, we're only going to be mainly discussing the vascular plants. Non-vascular plants would be things such as liverworts, hornworts, algae, moss, things that don't have root systems, and they tend to be very small, but they could still produce photosynthesis, and they are still considered to be a plant. They are just a different type of plant. So we have vascular plants and non-vascular plants, and we'll get into them in a little bit. Of the two types of vascular plants, we have angiosperms and gymnosperms. And the difference between those two is that the angiosperm will produce flowers, the gymnosperm will produce cones. That is it. That is all you need to worry about. And then the two types of angiosperms are a monocot and a dicot. All right, so let's go back to our notes. Again, I'm going to hover over. I'm going to go to my notebook, and I'm going to go to my family tree. So you can see, click to add subtitle. So we're going to go vascular plants. And then over here, we are going to put non-vascular plants. You don't generally even have to put plants. That's what we're talking about. So vascular and non-vascular, and there is a correction, so I need to fix it. No mistake. Then if you go back to the lesson, and what's nice is I can hover over and I can still see that, but I could just kind of go that way. I need to put angiosperm and gymnosperm here. And if your spelling is incorrect, it will underline it in red, and you please fix it. You are on a computer. You can change the size so that it fits in the box properly. And then we need to put these ones down here, which are monocot and dicot. So monocot, oops, spelled it wrong, and dicot. Oops, again, I think I spelled it wrong. Yep, see? Now underlined in red, so I'm just going to right click it. And that's still not the correct spelling. So I'm just going to get rid of that. Okay, so we have a monocot and we have a dicot. Okay, so that's as far as you need to do that. Let's exit out of there. All right, so back to the presentation. What are the two main parts of a plant? So we are going to now be talking about just vascular plants. And the reason they are a vascular plant is because they have the ability, they have special tissue to transport food and water throughout the plant. They also have a root system and a shoot system. And this is what we're going to talk about next. So the two parts of a plant are the roots, which grow below the soil line, okay, and there are some exceptions. And then we have the shoot, which is everything that grows above the soil line, which will include the stem, the leaves, the flowers, and the fruits. It is all part of the shoot. And again, there are some exceptions where the shoot will grow underground, such as part of the celery will grow underground. Potatoes are a stem that will grow underground. So I know that that is one of my questions, so I'm going to go back to my notes. What are the two main parts of a plant? And add an image, okay? This is not optional. You need to add the image. So the shoots, again, I can't spell, and the roots are the two parts of a plant. So it wants me to add an image. So I'm going to go over here and I'm going to search the web. And it'll pull up the web browser right here in the actual slides for you. And I'm going to type in plant shoots. Plant shoot. So I really like this one. So I'm going to drag this one over. I am going to minimize it so it fits nicely on my page. And then I'm going to put in plant roots. And I'm just going to take whatever picture I like. And when my computer decides it wants to put it in there, I guess it doesn't want that one. Let's see. Oh, I kind of like that because it shows you both. Minimize that so it fits. All right, so you can see all this is the root system, all of this is the shoot system, but I'm going to keep both, okay? All right, then it says define the two main parts. So let's go back, look at the video, and hopefully you're pausing and you're going back and you're looking through the video, okay, as you're taking their notes. So the shoot grows above the soil line. So let's go back to our notes. The shoot grows above the soil line. And then the roots grow below the soil line. So we'll go back. And I want to bullet these so that I can see the difference between the two. So I'm going to put in some bullets, or you can put in numbers, whatever you want. All right. And there's that. I'm going to X this out so you can see it. So that is what your notes should start looking like. I am going to move on with my presentation without going back and forth to the lesson, so that way we can get through this. but you are to pause and take your notes when I tell you to. All right, so what are the 4 main parts of the shoot? So in this one, question number 3, you have words that you're going to rearrange on the picture to show me that you understand where these certain parts are. So the first one is you have the stem. So if you jump to question number 4, after you've rearranged all of those, in question number 3, it says, what are the 2 tissues in a plant called and what do they do? So these tissues can be found throughout the entire plant, but the majority of them is going to be held within the stem of the plant. So these 2 main tissues are the entire reason why plants are vascular plants. They have the ability to transport food and water, like I said in the beginning. Well, those special tissues are held in the vein, and those tissues are called xylem, which is going to transport your water. And then you have the phloem, which is going to transport your food. So your PH makes the F sound, phloem. This kind of how I remember easily what they actually transport. So phloem transports food. Well, xylem will transport the water, okay? All right. Question number 5, why are leaves so important on a plant? What process happens in the leaves? So leaves are one of the most important parts of the plant. Without the leaves, we don't survive because they go through a process called photosynthesis. This is where they're taking carbon dioxide, solar energy, and water from the roots, and they're all meeting up in the leaves by way of the water's getting there from the xylem. Carbon dioxide enters through the stomata, which we've talked about last year. And then you have the solar energy, which gets absorbed into the chlorophyll. And within the chlorophyll, photosynthesis is taking place. It's kind of, per se, cooking all of those ingredients and chemically altering them to produce glucose, which is food for the plant. It's a sugar. So without that happening, we would not get the byproduct of oxygen, which is what we need to breathe and survive. Also, the glucose acts as a good natural sugar for our bodies to break down. That's why we eat a lot of fruits and vegetables, and they're so healthy and good for us. All right, so question number 6, explain in your own words the process of photosynthesis. How does it work? So kind of what I just explained to you is what I'm looking for. All right, flowers. For question number 7, what is the purpose of a flower? We are going to get into flowers a lot this marking period. But the basics are that it's for flower reproduction, meaning that the flowers are going to get pollinated and fertilized, and they're going to produce babies, which will be your seeds. Those seeds will then grow to produce a whole nother plant. So question number 7, what is the purpose of a flower? It is to reproduce. All right, for question number 8, what are the 2 types of fruits? So the fruits are the last part of the shoot system. We have 2 types of fruits. We have our wet fruits, which would include oranges, apples, berries, blueberries, kiwi, strawberry, all that kind of stuff. Then we also have dry fruits, which are actually your nuts. So your almonds, pistachios, cashews, all of those are considered to be a dry fruit. Now, peanuts do not qualify as that because peanuts are actually not a nut. They are in the legume family, which is the same thing as peas and beans. Okay, so question number 9, what is the purpose of a fruit? So the purpose of the fruit is to protect the seeds that are growing inside. That is it. They are naturally tasting good and smelling good to attract animals to eat them so that their seeds get ingested. And then without being digested, because animal stomachs are not strong enough to break down the seed coat of the seed, they will later, and these are animals in nature and in the woods, they will go further somewhere away from the original plant, and they will poop those seeds out because they did not get digested. And therefore, they're being fertilized, but they're also being put into another place where they have a higher chance of survival. So what is the purpose of the fruit? It's to protect the seed. How do you think seeds of a plant get transported for question number 10? So I kind of just explained that. So I want you to put it in your own words is what I'm looking for. All right, so hopefully this brings back a lot of information that you learned last year, or if this is new to you, you understand it. If not, please reach out to me. I'd be happy to explain things in more detail. But we will be moving on to plant genetics in the next lesson.